The New York Jets just fleeced the NFL by acquiring Davante Adams in a steal of a trade, pairing Adams and Aaron Rodgers back together once again as Joe Douglas continues to make nothing but good moves, trying to build a contender around Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, and we have to talk about it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into the video as always, guys, because Aaron Rodgers got his guy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Subscribe to the channel. That's all the news for today. Nothing else matters. Obviously, I'm kidding. He's here. Matt, we done did it. And by we, I mean Joe Douglas. Me and you had nothing to do with this. But the New York Jets acquired Davante Adams this morning while giving a conditional third-round pick. And as mentioned, that conditional third-round pick the Jets are trading to the Raiders for Davante Adams will become a second-rounder. If Adams can be a first or second-team All-Pro, or on the active roster for the AFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. Two things that would absolutely make giving a second-round pick worth it. Matt, I mean, what a steal. Great time to be a Jets fan this morning after an ugly loss to the Bills. This is the spark the Jets needed, and it's going to help them a lot this season.
Yeah, Chris, I was super excited when I woke up this morning, and I was doing some work before I left the house, and I saw the notification Davante Adams has been traded to the Jets. I love the fact that they only gave a conditional third-round pick, especially when one of the requirements for that pick to turn into a second-round pick are make it to the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game. And if either one of those things happen, then obviously they can take our whole next draft if the Jets make it to the AFC Championship game. So obviously very happy with that. One thing that was not mentioned in those tweets is the Raiders hung on to they did not take on any of Davante Adams' salary, which was a big talking point, definitely between Joe Douglas and the GM of the Raiders. So the Jets will be taking on his $13.2 million in cap hit this year, I think it was. It's somewhere in that range, which is close to the Jets' $17 million plus what they had to spend. So this is the move. This is the final move, unless Hassan Reddick is traded, unless now the guy who becomes expendable, Mike Williams, is traded to free up extra cap space. Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard is going to be the receiving trio for New York, which is exciting because two of those guys have tons of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. They played with him in the past. They're going to now play with him on the Jets, which feels amazing to say. And the last guy, Garrett Wilson, tremendous talent. He's been building chemistry with Aaron Rodgers every single week, and I can't wait to see how their chemistry improves going forwards. So now, with Davante Adams, the last two games have ended with Aaron Rodgers throwing interceptions on drives where the Jets could have made a difference. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers is that difference, but we'll see if Davante Adams is that difference. But a couple reasons why he might not be, Chris, is two of our last three games could have been different had Greg Zuerlein made field goals. Davante Adams is not a kicker, so he's not going to solve that problem. Davante Adams, he can't solve the oh my goodness, the penalties last night, Chris. I don't know how many penalties is reasonable for one team to witness. Robert Saleh was fired, and one of the reasons was no doubt the fact that the Jets were the second most penalized team in the National Football League. That if it changed last night, they became the first most penalized football team. It didn't get better. The coaching change so far did not bring the spark that Woody Johnson had hoped that it would bring to the Jets, but Davante Adams is definitely going to be a spark. So Davante Adams doesn't fix all of the Jets' problems, not even close. But what he does do is he makes an offense that potentially the offense looked so much better last night with a different play caller. Now that Nathaniel Hackett is not calling plays, there's a potential that Aaron Rodgers can fully take over this offense. And Chris, the way I see this trade happening, it's just Aaron Rodgers fully taking over control of the New York Jets, because people are saying how they have no identity, and they're kind of right. They fired their head coach after 5 games. So what is the idea here? They brought in the play caller now is Downing, who 2 other teams didn't want him calling plays for them. So now we want him calling plays for us. It's not an ideal situation. So right now it's pretty clear Aaron Rodgers is having his way with coaching decisions, with personnel decisions, he's definitely the guys that he wants in the building are in the building. They're coaching the team. They're calling the shots. Aaron Rodgers is becoming the entire team. And this team, if we weren't before, they are now officially the team that will go as far as Aaron Rodgers can take them.
Yeah, I agree. This team is completely Aaron Rodgers' team, and I don't mind the fact that the Jets have gone out there and just let Rodgers do what he wants because, obviously the last decade plus has not worked out, so why not? And Rodgers looked real good last night. Like, he looked very, very good. Yes, he threw an interception at the end of the game. But, if Mike Williams didn't fall over himself like a 3-year-old, then, he could have caught the ball and the Jets would have been in field goal range.
So, wait, Chris, with Mike Williams, Aaron Rodgers after the game said that Mike Williams actually ran the wrong route, which it looks like Mike Williams is not ready to play with Aaron Rodgers. So one of his other targets, he had 3 targets. He caught none of them for a grand total of 0 yards. One of his targets, do you remember the play where Aaron Rodgers got blitzed and he quickly tried to hit his hot route, which was Mike Williams over the middle, and Mike Williams just got hit in the leg by the ball because he didn't catch it. He wasn't ready. The point of that play was the Bills walked up their defense, so they were at least showing that they were going to blitz Aaron Rodgers. So you need to have what's called a hot route, which is a guy who's going to modify their route, and he's just going to look back at the quarterback. So if defense does end up blitzing, Aaron Rodgers is then going to quickly get the ball out to that hot route, which was Mike Williams. So the Bills, they walk up their defense. They're showing blitz. Ball snapped. They do bring the blitz, which means Aaron Rodgers now needs to hit his hot route. Mike Williams, he throws the ball quickly. Mike Williams isn't ready to make the play. That is extremely frustrating to see. He's not ready to play with Rodgers. Last play of the game, he's running the wrong route. The Bills defensive back who made the interception to end the game last night, his back was turned towards the sidelines. He was facing the inside of the field. So if Aaron Rodgers throws that ball outside, there is a chance that Mike Williams would have been able to take that pass for a touchdown.
I mean, it feels like Mike Williams isn't ready to play football. Like, just in a general sense. He's done nothing.
That's what sometimes happens when you're coming off a torn ACL, but I understand what you mean.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. It's like, I understand he's coming off of an injury and all that, but he hasn't looked good, and now the Jets have Davante Adams, so it doesn't matter at all. So I don't really mind any of this happening. The Jets needed a route runner. They needed a guy who, Aaron Rodgers can target 12, 13, 14, 15 times per game, who's, going to catch the ball and, score and be good at football. The Jets needed more dynamicism. That definitely is not how I should have
dynamism.
We're just gonna push right through that. So they needed that on defense on offense, guys. We're killing it right now. And as Matt still thinks of the word,
I'll figure it out.
But look, here's the deal, guys. Davante Adams is on the New York Jets, and look, they're 2-4. They have a new head coach who's an interim coach. None of this screams playoffs right now. Davante getting here is a huge help because the Jets did lose back-to-back games by one score. By one score each. Unfortunately, Greg Zuerlein doesn't understand wind, which is a huge bummer because, frankly, I don't think you should be missing kicks that are closer than the extra point. But apparently Greg Zuerlein doesn't understand that wind makes things blow in directions. And that's a tragedy because, we've talked about this before. If you're the 33rd best kicker on the planet, you don't have a job in the NFL. I don't know if Greg Zuerlein's a top 45 kicker in the world because the man doesn't understand weather. It's wind. Kick it closer to the other side, Greg. Come on, man. I want to see the Jets win. I almost just got angry and called him bald, and I guess I kind of just did anyway because we're still recording. In Greg's defense, I'm balding also, so it's okay. But Matt, it feels like if anything's going to turn this season around, it's Davante Adams going to the Jets.
So hopefully this makes the difference that we've been looking for. But at 11:26 in the morning, I'm honestly surprised that Greg Zuerlein is still on the team, or at least they haven't brought a new guy in. They need a guy to come in to at least compete with him because even if it's a worse kicker, missing again multiple kicks next week for the Jets, as long as his last name is not Zuerlein, I would rather watch someone other than Greg Zuerlein miss kicks than Greg Zuerlein miss
Chris
kicks.
Gallagher.
I'll take it. I would miss.
Oh,
so But one thing I do want to mention is I am surprised. I thought you would have brought this up by now, which was the officials in the game last night.
Oh my.
And they were really bad, but they weren't bad towards the Jets. They were bad just all around in general because at the end of the day, you got to remember the Jets got a score off of that roughing the passer penalty where the guy he landed on Rodgers, but it was just even Aaron Rodgers called it should not have been a penalty.
Yeah.
And then the end of the game, that last drive, Aaron Rodgers dropped the ball. That was a fumble. That was a fumble. That was a ridiculous call where they said his hand was technically okay. His hand was technically coming forwards. So by the letter of the law, it is a forward pass. So the officials got the call right. Everyone knows that he was not throwing the ball. Everyone knew that was a fumble. The game should have been over right there. The Jets got lucky. And unfortunately, more stuff showed up. But they also had that one penalty where Matt Collins looked at DJ Reed and ran right into him and gave him a long pass interference. That was frustrating, but there were frustrating calls going against both sides, and they were not the reason why the Jets lost this game. The Bills were trying to lose this game, but the Jets also were trying to lose this game, and the Jets won the game of losing games.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I was not thrilled with the officiating last night, but and you're right, it went both ways for sure. There was a holding call on Tyron Smith, and
no, that was a hold. That was a hold.
I know. And it's so upsetting because I was so ready to be up in arms about that call, and then they showed the replay, and he's literally grabbing the dude completely, and I'm like, dude, you are supposed to be the best tackle in football, basically. What is going on here? It was such a frustrating play because it just ruined a drive that could have been a touchdown, and it was a frustrating play to watch because I thought it was just going to be some bad call, and seeing the replay, it's like the Jets were just making a lot of mistakes last night.
Yeah, so Tyron Smith on that hold, Braylon Allen was way past where he was. He was pretty much already in the end zone. So it was frustrating to see him do it, but I looked at that and said, yeah, 10 times out of 10, that's a hold. But also the offensive line, they said it on the broadcast, we have good individual players, but they're just not gelling well enough. And Aaron Rodgers keeps getting hit, and one of these hits could be his last. So it's super scary. I hate seeing Aaron Rodgers getting hit as much as he is, and that needs to change. But as far as the offensive play calling went, Chris, it was definitely a breath of fresh air. The offense looked a lot better than it did the first 5 games. And everyone was putting that on Robert Saleh, but Robert Saleh was going to make the same offensive change that Ulbrich did. So the jury is definitely still out whether Robert Saleh was the correct firing or not.
I just don't think Robert Saleh was a good coach regardless, and I understand that's it is what it is because we don't know if Ulbrich's a good coach, but I wasn't a fan of Saleh. I just didn't think he was great at what he did.
So I think Saleh was a bad coach, but did you see that we got delayed? We didn't have a delay game. It was 12 men on the field for the Jets because Ulbrich was mulling over a head coaching decision, and he didn't realize that his defense had too many guys on the field. And that's because he just had all the head coaching decisions dumped on his plate this week, and he's still controlling the defensive choices too. So it was a situation where it was a tough situation, and I'm going to give him a pass for making that mistake because he was head coaching his first ever game, but he shouldn't have been in that position. If Robert Saleh was still making the head coaching decisions, he could make the defensive decisions, and then Todd Downing could make the offensive decisions. Maybe some of those penalties come down a little bit, but we know I'm not here to argue that Robert Saleh was a good coach. He was definitely not a good enough coach, but firing him 5 games into the season is a recipe for disaster.
I agree. And guys, let us know what you think down below. Obviously, a tiny bit of a longer video than usual. We usually go to 12 minutes. But guys, it's a big day. Davante Adams is on the team, and we're going to be covering everything about the Jets when they make the miraculous run back into playoff football. So guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Also, every Friday at 6 p.m., Matt and I are on Nick's Digest, my other channel, and we just talk about whatever we feel like about the Knicks, and the comments get out of control, and it's a great time, and it's good happy hour live stream stuff, so make sure to subscribe to that for bobblehead Jalen Brunson. Guys, have a great day, and go Jets. Ladies and gentlemen, we got them.